now, joined by one of my favorite bands. Back in that day, dude, I was loving the rock scene.
Hell yes.
Stephen Richard Singer from Taproot. How are you, my friend?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for having me. And I apologize. I'll probably be way more boring than whatever I was watching before you got me in here. That seemed pretty intense.
But dude, it's much better to talk about that part of that time period than 9/11. That's for sure.
I do want to ask you about that, though, because you guys were playing music at that time. And so what was that day like for you? You happened to join us on 9/11. So I want to ask you what you guys were doing or what you were doing when that
Fair enough.
happened.
It was nuts. We were in California. We're from Michigan, the East Coast. So for us, when we were in Los Angeles, it was more like 6 a.m. rather than 9.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. Long story short, my girlfriend that was still back here on the East Coast called my hotel room. And there were some shenanigans that I wasn't up to, but basically I was getting yelled at to turn on the TV. So I did. And we were like, oh, crap. And then, we were like, we got to get home, talk to our family, all that stuff. And, of course, all the, airports were shut down and stuff. So we just rented a car and drove straight back home nonstop, like 23 hours.
Wow.
It was a crazy time, man. I'm telling you, before you came on, we were just rehashing all the stuff that's been going on. And don't forget it. It's just one of those things you can't forget.
Absolutely. I haven't had a chance to go to the memorial and the stuff yet. Like I haven't been to New York recently, but we're going in a couple months. We're playing a show there, so I'm going to try to swing by there because that would be epic. And today's not the best of memories, but I know everyone's getting better with it at least.
On a lighter note, I want to say OHIO, just because you guys are from Ann Arbor and you guys for some reason have a decent football team this year up there, and I'm not a big fan of that. I am a Buckeye fan through, but I wish you guys the best of luck until you play Ohio State.
I appreciate it, and I can't say that I'm a huge, whatever. I'm fine with. I will. It is kind of interesting when they do win, but I'm still more of the anti-Michigan State guy than the Ohio State because I honestly love Columbus. Like I'm a hockey kid too, so you guys got the Blue Jackets. I'm all good with you. All good with you.
You should be happy then. Michigan State's football coach is now suspended for sexually harassing somebody. So that team sucks, and that's good too. So it's all good. All good in Michigan.
Is. It's good news if Michigan State makes national headlines.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's talk about you guys making some national headlines. First time in 11 years you're giving us a record, man. Let's start with the obvious. Where the hell have you guys been recording-wise?
Actually, the last 6 years is what I've spent working on this. It's just I could only work maybe 4 hours a week, doing the normal family with the 8 or crap. My job was 7:30 to 4 job.
Right.
But so I could only get in a couple hours out of the week. In 2012, we did our last release, the episodes. We toured on that for a little while, but this record that we're promoting right now, I actually wrote 85% of it back then before we kind of did a little hiatus from each other. But so I'm finally happy to get it released. I worked a long time, as hard as I could possibly to I really only finished it because when my mom passed away, I needed that creative outlet, and I was kind of just going to put it out on my own, just like, hey guys, anyone that cares, whatever. But Phil, the bassist, he was like, that's not fair to Taproot, because he knew the songs 10 11 years ago too. He was like, you wrote this to be the next Taproot record, let's make it a Taproot record. I'm like, oh, okay. So now we're doing interviews and actually getting some attention, which is cool because, I just wanted people to hear the music, but the more people we can reach, then the better it is. Like, because I think there's some pretty inspirational songs.
Sure. Well, and the one thing I was reading, and tell me if it's wrong, but, because it came off the press release, so I will, that's always to be judged as, well, it might be real, but is that you really put your stamp on all of it. Writing, recording, producing, performing, every last little nuance of this thing, other than just the performance pieces from the other guys, is all you. Is that true?
I think I'll go the band route, but technically I could be honest, I guess, since I'm here. It's from beginning to end, except for the mixing, mastering. That's actually all me.
Oh, wow. Wow. So So to do that, I'm always curious about this with you guys. To do that, especially when you put your ear in the production room, it becomes really hard to judge it either becomes really hard to judge yourself as a musician, or it becomes super easy to never finish because you spend too much time judging every last note.
Yeah.
Where did you line up with that, and how did you make the decisions on when something was right and when it was okay to stop and move forward?
Honestly, like a lot of people don't realize, like our first record and then our fifth record were pretty much mostly me too when it comes to the writing. Not a lot of people realize that I grew up playing drums and then taught myself guitar and then got forced into singing.
Right.
Yeah, that was just, it's easier to find drummers than it is to find singers. So I kind of got stuck doing that. But as far as the material that's on here, I don't really question too much of it. It's kind of weird because most of the tracks of me singing on this record are actually just scratch tracks. I didn't have enough time to put, hours and hours just of vocals, out. This would have been next year if I was just spending that much time on the vocals. So it's mostly just, it's fixed. There's a guy named Matt LaPlante who mixed and mastered it. And he just like brought everything to the best it can sound, for years and years. It was me just sitting in front of a board. They even switched the board on me, at the studio I'm at, the Left in Saline. So I was trying to figure out how to do the production side more than anything with the songs. The songs are kind of, like I said, they were already written 10 years ago to be the next Taproot record. So there wasn't too much adjustments or whatever. And I think not having external input is kind of cool. It almost seems like a lot of people are reacting better because it's just me, how it is. And that's like a lot more like our fans of the first record, Gift. That's what they got. We didn't rewrite or write any songs for Gift except for one song. Everything else, we just re-recorded demos. So that was us. So
right. Do you feel like the production wise, and we'll get into the actual record itself. I'm like production guy. I'm always interested in this, especially how it's changed so much, now. And I think for me, as somebody that's listened to your music for 20 whatever years it's been, there's a difference in the sound. And I don't think it's a difference like a hard change in performance. I do think there's a very hard change production-wise, whether it's a bigger sound or a more crisp sound or, there's definite differences just from a sonic standpoint. Do you hear that, and do you make those choices, or does the technology make that choice for you?
Are you talking about the new album?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if you got to hear the whole thing or not or whatever. That's a happy mix. The guy I mentioned earlier, Matt, I'm self-taught on everything. So when I recorded everything, I'm still used to hearing the demo or, me, the process, and I'm just over everything the way I have it sound. So once he came in, brought the EQ a little bit more proper, because me, I just want it crisp and, screaming. And it's like, calm down, So now I know to judge a good sounding thing by watching my rear view mirror, because that's the only stereo I have is the car.
Right.
And so hearing the new material and then comparing it to like real music, because I don't listen. I've been stuck doing my own stuff. The last thing I want to do is listen to music. So like, who are you inspired by right now? I don't know. I don't listen to the radio.
I think that was going to be kind of my question. Is that back when you guys hit big with Poem and stuff like that, the rock scene was fucking cool. I mean, like there was like good bands. You guys were one of those great bands, and now rock music sucks. And so it's nice to hear some like new stuff from like you guys coming back out, and I like that. So how different is it making it today compared to what it was back then?
We'll find out. It's still just putting out the new release. I mean, for me, it's kind of cool that we're actually doing shows again. Like we were supposed to play a show 2 days ago, a huge festival. It just got closed down because the weather wasn't great, but it was just one show booked up. And then when it turned into the Scissors album coming out, now we're doing like 20 shows over the last couple of months of this year. That's something I didn't expect. So that'll be nice to get some, press and, meeting new fans as well as, hang out with the old ones that we already know. But if this thing can do anything, commercially, that would be killer. So I think it's still going to be harder, obviously, than when you had Atlantic Records behind you and they know that you clearly just wrote. People don't realize I wrote Poem in like 5 minutes as a joke.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's a good joke.
I was going to say.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a song on this one that's not a joke, but I took the same type of formula. It's called Favorite Song, and it's literally the lyrics about any one of us can relate to the idea that if you sing along with a song, you probably don't know all the lyrics anyway. You just kind of make them up.
Right.
So the song's called Favorite Song is because I literally sing, I don't even know the lyrics to my favorite song, but every time I seem to sing along. So I think everyone can relate to that. So anyone that hears it will be like, oh, I get it. Okay. Because with Poem, it was just what has everyone read and heard before? Right. In case of fire, break the glass. Guess I'll write a song around that.
Worked out.
The verses are very important, though. Those are actually like inner turmoil, PTSD type of stuff going on in my head. But, it was all written about, in case of fire, break the glass. That's me like having a panic attack. So the song was important, but it was just literally writing a heavy riff and going like, cool.
Sure. Dude, you've obviously done this a lot in your career, but is it easy, hard, frustrating every time you put out a record, etc., to reveal personal stuff? And I'll tell you, like for me, I write books, and sometimes I don't like when somebody questions me on something that, because I know how it went.
Right.
And then when they bring it back to me and I know what I wrote and I know what I was saying in my head, and they're like, well, this is what no,
that's right.
And it's like, do you get frustrated with that? Because everybody adapts. Musician-wise, you know what you're trying to say,
right?
But when you take a song, they could relate it to something total. You might have wrote a breakup song that they take to the death of a loved one or a parent or something.
Right.
Just totally rework it in there. And when that happens to me, it feels weird. How do you take it?
I think once it's written and performed and out of my mind, like I got that off my chest.
Okay.
So if someone comes up to me, like you're saying, and relates to it in a different way, I'm not going to be like, well, no.
Right.
It's up to, it's up to the creative mind and however they perceive it or take it, or even if it's the wrong lyrics, I won't say anything. It's however it makes them feel, unless it's in a bad way, and then I'll try to steer them down the right path. But usually It's someone relating to what I went through, even if it's wrong, like good on them, because it's doing something positive for them. So that's, if you get me wrong, hey, whatever. But if you want to ask me anything, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Do you want to punch the people who came up with Spotify and Apple Music and all this garbage like in the face because you're not getting paid for it? Would you rather go back to CDs? I mean, how difficult is it for you guys, especially coming out with like new stuff and to put it out there to people?
I have a CD.
See, that's what I want. That's the kind of stuff that we need instead of this look it up on Spotify. I don't want to look it up on Spotify. I want to go to a store and pick it up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, no, it's kind of depressing that's the way it is, but people are now scrambling like I'm just hands off. I'm done with the record. I'll play some shows and my songs are out there. I've got some people helping out, Tom with our, management company and all that. They're the ones that know, I've been out of the business forever. Like aside from knowing how to play and write, I don't get the strategies, but my friend Elias from Nonpoint, he knows how to work the thing. They know that you have to release song by song and then do content, keep that never ending. And it's still, I know I'm not going to make royalties off of, the most important song that I've written, like to me, at all, just by spins. But at the end of the day, I can't say that I'm just after for the money. I just want people to have that connection, and I'll just hope for the best and hope that something good comes out of it. Yeah.
But at the same time, this is how you get paid. I mean, I know you said you had another job, but I mean, you guys are a rock band. You guys are a good band. You guys have been a popular band for a lot of years, and this is how you should be making your money. And I think that now they're making it almost impossible for artists like you guys to make cash doing it. You have to tour the entire year to make a good living.
Yeah, I agree. I actually quit my job just so I could finish up these shows this year, and then pray to God I'll be able to survive at least for a couple weeks before I can try to find a new job. But no, I'm with you. It was like a bummer even before the modern day stuff. Right now, it was like 6 weeks, 2 months before our first record came out. We still sold 350,000 or whatever, but that was like right when it got leaked to Napster just a couple months before it came out. And that was like right when Lars sued Napster, and then everyone was pissed at Lars for suing Napster, and we're like, no, Napster's bad. Napster's not good. It's bad. So so I'm back to those days. It's all streamed off of that. So I'm not a fan of, and I will not pay for premium Spotify or anything that costs money. But I am guilty of, if I need to hear a song quick, I'll look it up, because it is harder to find CDs, and it is, harder to support people. But if there is someone worth supporting, do it. Absolutely. There is a whole internet, not just the one website.
Right. Well, dude, this is the weird thing, and I only know this because it's my job in real life, is, I literally take guys like you and find you the royalties that are being accrued, but you're not getting.
Oh.
So
You're
you want
hired.
to talk about that? That's another conversation. I'll tell Shona to put us in contact.
Fair enough.
What is surprising to me is they make it so that it's almost impossible for you guys to get your money. Mm-hmm. They make it so difficult. And again, most people don't know this piece of the business. I only do because it's what I do. Right. But you would think you sign up for a company that says, collect my royalties and pay me. And they would collect your royalties and pay you. And then you find out that you're getting 1/3, if not less, because there's all these different rights companies outside of the United States and Canada, and there's DSPs all over the place, and and you have to be almost a computer tech to get paid. And I'm a believer that that's on purpose. I fully believe that it's to the industry's benefit to keep you guys hungry and keep you guys feeding them.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of people don't realize how, unless you're Beyonce or someone huge, when you're like, even when we were at our most successful, we got dropped from Atlantic Records owing 2-point-something million.
Oh, geez.
So people are like, oh my God, they lost that much money off you guys. How are you paying that back? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They still made over 10 million off of us. Mm-hmm. We just owed them the 2 million that they're entitled to, because we only get 10% of our album sales until their 90% is paid off with our 10%.
And they convinced you as 20-year-olds that you needed to spend that $350,000 on the video, and they convinced you of that stuff when you were 22, and you're like, yeah, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll get you as many texts as you want. Let's get some pyro, and
right.
So like, people that don't realize it, it's, since we only get 10% of what we sold. If we were doing a $70,000 tour for a bus and staff and whatever for 2 or 3 months at a time, if we spent $70,000, we'd have to sell 70,000 albums to even see $1 on the next record.
Right. Yeah. It's nutty, man. It's worse now. That's the worst part about it. It's way worse now. Now you're almost better to put them in the trunk of one of the cars that you're on tour with and just open it up and here.
It's
$20,
true.
$20 is $20,
Yeah, I agree. It's very different. It was kind of weird too, because that festival we were supposed to do this weekend, it was like going to be a big deal, but then it turned out that even if we were going to sell merchandise, if we would have got to play, we'd only be able to. They'd be doing it. We'd have to send them the stuff ahead of time. Anything left over, they got to keep.
Right.
And anything, and they'd take 30% and they'd sell it. So
oh God,
that's like you were just saying. I was like, well, shit, we're not doing the show, but who's to say we just couldn't go down the street where everyone has to leave? And if there's 5 or 6 Taproot fans that see a shirt and they're like, oh, we can't, because we ended up after our day was canceled, we ended up going, letting people on Facebook know, I guess. we ended up going bowling just to like have a meet and greet and a fun time and have some cocktails and all that. And so we met a couple that came in from LA. We met a couple that flew in from, Alaska. A couple that came in from Utah. So at least we got to hang out with them, give them guitar picks and have a couple drinks and all that stuff. So that was cool. We tried to make the best out of it, but it really sucks. I mean, there were people that paid hundreds and hundreds to just camp out for a 4-day festival, and they got stuck with only like half a day worth of watching, and it all got canceled.
This was Blue Ridge Rock Fest.
Yeah, Blue Ridge Rock Fest. Yeah,
dude, I was seeing some stuff. One of my friends is Eric Ferentinos, who plays guitar for Stephen Pearcy. Yeah, and they got to play. They played on Thursday, so they got to play. And my first question to him was, "Did you get paid?" Because I'm not buying that the weather was so bad. I've heard it was bad. I've also heard other things. I'll just leave it there. I've heard other things about what's going on. Did you guys get what you were supposed to get?
I am not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure there's at least half, it's like kind of half guaranteed. And then, like maybe we didn't, even though it's not our fault, we didn't perform. Right. So I'm not sure, but I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure we at least get half.
All right. Well, that's good.
But that's actually a good question. I have to get our manager as I knew, he was like still a half hour away from home about a half hour ago. He had a long drive all the way to middle Wisconsin from down there in Virginia. So
was that Tom Hazard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know Tom.
Right. I'm sure you do. Everyone does.
Yeah. Well, we're in Cleveland too, so we definitely know Tom.
Right at Cleveland, city where Bone Thugs comes from.
That's right.
Do you like doing the festival thing, or do you prefer like the small clubs and stuff like where you could be like the headliners, or do you like doing the big festival deals?
I like them both for different reasons. I think the festival ones are cool because you get to try to make new fans as well as see the old fans. And I'm a guy that, like, if they're not having fun, I'm going to go out there and make you have fun.
Right.
Like if there's no one doing anything and you're just standing there on your phone, well, A, I'll grab your phone, get the crowd for you, and then B, I'll just come out and start a mosh pit or jump off something that's happening. So I like the outdoor stuff more for like appealing to more new people and, playing with some other great bands. I mean, that festival that just shut down, there was some great bands that I would have loved to have seen and stuff, but and you get to play less songs.
Right.
I'm closer to 50 than to 40. So if we can get a decent chunk for like 7 or 8 songs rather than a smaller chunk for like 15, that's cool too. But obviously, growing up in clubs, going to see bands in clubs, that's where it's actually at. It's more intimate. That's interaction. It's, so headlining is the way to do it, but I'm down for a couple festivals a year. That's cool too.
I saw you guys in Ozfest way back in the day. Like, what year was that? 2001, I think maybe you guys played Ozfest?
We did 2000 and 2001.
I think that's 2001, and it was amazing. But now I'm even fatter than I was back then, and so like going to these like 12-hour festivals, I sweat to death, and I'm next to having a heart attack laying on the floor before you guys actually come on stage.
Right.
And so I like to go see a club, and where it's kind of cool, and then I can party a little bit, and then see the bands that I like. So I don't know. I guess that's a mix for me too.
I think you would have hated this one, Seth, because it was 4 days, and I think like 80 bands.
Oh my God!
It was like 140.
100, yeah, or some crazy. Now I know it was 4 stages, and each stage was constantly going. It looked like way too much for me. I would have showed up Sunday at about 10 o'clock to see Pantera, and I'd have been good.
Right? Yeah, I hear you. Well, that's the. It's not just those 4 stages all day, but they also then have like the after-hour ones that also have like 6, 10, 12 artists. It's more the hip hop stuff.
Yeah, but 2 Chainz was at it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Vanilla Ice was there.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice was at this thing. 2 Chainz. Insane Clown Posse, I think, showed up.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Well, they were supposed to. I wonder if they did or not. Now, now you got to wonder who showed up.
That's true. Yeah, it was weird when we were trying to get in. We finally got in towards where we were dressing. They were just like, oh, we're going to push it back a couple hours and then ask you guys to play, just a shorter set. I'm like, yes. From 9 songs down to like 6, hell yes. But that was the weird thing too, is because the first real bad weather day, like I know it was pretty bad, at least from the people that we talked to. I know it was ran worse, which I think is the biggest issue.
Sure.
But the people were stranded, like they could not get out of there for like 6 hours. For us getting into the venue the day we think we're playing, took us a good hour and a half of just waiting in a line of trucks and cars before we could even get to the area. So, but I don't know. It could have been better, but either way, as I was about to say, that when we were there waiting to go on, it was literally just drizzling, a little bit of rain on and off, no storming, nothing crazy. Like back on Ozfest, all of us would have been outside, rain or shine. You're playing. Like we've been on stage, we were on tour with Deftones a long time ago, but we were on stage when the stage got hit by lightning.
Oh, wow.
It's raining, you're still playing, go for it. Oh, there's lightning. Okay, time out, everyone leave. But yeah, so I was kind of like, why isn't there anyone playing? But I think, in hindsight, just knowing how bad it was with how they weren't prepared for the bad weather, I think they were just covering their ass on the later ones, like it's raining, let's just call it. So
well, or there's something in, and again, I'm being conspiracy theorist here. I'm definitely not saying I know anything, but claiming that there's an act of God sometimes gets the insurance to pay things where canceling because your employees all stop working does not. So
right. Fair enough. I'm with you. No, I mean, it all makes sense to me, and I'm a pretty big conspiracy guy myself. So I think what you're saying isn't all that big of a conspiracy, though. I think
Yeah, I've seen it a lot online, but
that's why I mentioned that it was ran poorly, and that's probably why it took so long for people to get out of the place for 6 hours, because their school buses were full, they were breaking down, like so. Ugh. No wonder people didn't want to be part of the S show. And yes, they're claiming, the Lord hates us and decided to it's on us in Virginia for 3 days.
Right.
And apparently he hates Burning Man. He hates everything else.
Yeah. Firefest.
Exactly. Yeah.
I saw a video though of the Burning Man, and people were trying to get out of there, and it was like forever, and hours upon hours of traffic. And I'm looking at this video, and it's a fucking desert. They could drive wherever the hell they wanted to go and not sit in this line of traffic for 3 days. And yet they're all standing in like one line. Like, go out and drive. You'll be okay.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Screw those festivals. I'm too fat and old to go to those things.
I'm telling you.
I'm with you. We were leaving Sunday either way, so I was like, all right, I might have stayed for Megadeth. Probably not. That would have been cool, but I need to go back. I had my wife. It was her first time seeing us in a long time. She's only been to like 2 of our shows, and she hates us. So I was going to have to get her the hell out. But so we were, I'm just happy that the bowling thing worked out, because, it was hanging out with, people that we care about and that care about us. And then it was also, a good time to get a little bit tossed.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No.
Well, dude, one thing I have noticed lately is that it really seems like the late 90s, maybe like 95 to 2005 era bands are starting to get what the 80s bands have had for the last 10, 15 years, that real nostalgia kick where people are, they're just aging into that part where they got just enough energy to do it one more time type of thing. Yeah. Are you seeing that, and how good is that for a band like yours that definitely had significant success during that period?
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I was told when we got, offers. We got offers to do tours that we just couldn't commit to with just basic politics. It would have been great tours, but kind of we survive off of selling merch, and if you're getting limited merch in front of a band that has tons more merch,
right.
Like, so we had to turn that stuff down. But no, I know it's the new generation's generation, because yes, it's all people our age want the nostalgia too. But then of course we've been, force feeding our kids our music.
Right.
So now the kids want to see our music too. So there's a lot of that too. So it's definitely full circle. And yeah, it's really cool. That's why they timed it out for the CD to come out. on September 29th, and it's, we're playing shows with a lot of relative bands, and the Blue Ridge Fest, like there was cool new day heavy stuff, but there was a lot of throwback stuff and even throwback more stuff like Pantera, Megadeth. Like, oh my God, I saw those guys so many times as a kid. Sure. And then there's a whole bunch of bands that probably thought that of us. Like, oh my God, I saw Taproot so many times, but probably not, but maybe.
Very cool, man. Well, dude, let's wrap this one up talking about the new single, Favorite Song, which you mentioned, and it is a fun tune. It also features a guy that you also mentioned who's one of my favorite guys in the business, which is Elias. Yeah. Just the coolest guy, and I don't think, and I'm sure you can justify this statement, I don't think anybody gives this guy enough credit for how smart he and Rob are. Those two guys are brilliant at marketing.
Absolutely. That's what I was bringing up. Like he was before Tom. Like, I was talking to him about the song, and he'd send me the stuff, and I'd tweak a couple things. He sent me more, but we had a really good long talk about the whole with we were talking about Spotify and Apple Music. It's no longer like, here's your record. Right. I'm kind of still doing it that way for a record release party at our hometown in Machine Shop in Flint. So we do have physical copies for people that are at those shows. And I know that that's just a select few, but yes, it's all the streaming and stuff. But he was the one that kind of gave me the lowdown. It's like, it's no longer you just put your record out and hope that all the songs get just bought in one lump sum. It's out there like, no, you need to release a song, let it go, release a song. Okay, boom, go, and two at once, take some time off. Oh, here's a new one, So there's 11 tracks on this record. So we've already released 3. Favorite Song is the 3rd one, and that's the one that we're just kind of trying to press before the release date. So we're hoping that it gets picked up. I think we've been added at 3 radio stations, probably not the biggest ones, but hopefully good enough. And, because I know it takes a lot of guts nowadays to beat the algorithm of how you're going to get your songs on radio. And it's always the first one is taking a risk. Okay, the second one. But at some point, maybe some of the bigger stations will be like, why are these guys adding this? And if it's working, then it works, and it works. But again, that's not my focus. It's just getting this new favorite song out to the public. And from what I've heard so far, everyone seems to love it. And it's not just like, oh, good job, Steve. But it's more like literally like, every time I listen to this song, I can't get it out of my head. And when I wake up the next day, I'm still saying, hey, oh, la da 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 da, like, get out of my head. So that's kind of, I think it's a special song. So I hope it, if it doesn't go commercially, that's cool. I just hope it reaches enough people that get the entertainment value of it as well as go like, wow, that is so boom. No one could say that more, because I still don't know the words to like one of my favorite records, Dirt by Alice in Chains.
Oh, yeah.
If I went to go sing karaoke, I'd still have to read probably, I'd probably want to do Rooster because I love that song, just Lane's vocals and stuff. I'd probably have to read 55% of the words on the screen.
Rooster. Yeah. Got it. Nailed it.
Oh, it's oh yeah, not oh no? Okay.
Too good, man. Well, dude, obviously, man, the new album Scissors is September 29th. It hits for people that want to get it. Where do we tell people to go to get it if they want to buy physical product? Because we are not going to tell them to go to Spotify or wherever. We're going to tell them to buy something.
Fair enough. I'm pretty sure Taproot Official is like the website, so taprootofficial.com, and there's taprootmerch.com. It's all tied in with Tom, and there's the TKO, the Volatile, the guy that they do our merch, they do our management, do all that stuff. But I'm mostly an Instagram guy, so you can find out on mine. It's at Scissors, spelled the lesbian act, like I intentionally made it. But yeah, no, it's Taproot Official and Official Taproot, all that jazz. You can find it online, but I'm grateful for you guys having me on here. This is really cool.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I guess we're gonna end it with
we'll play
with the song.
Yeah, of course.
Sweet.
Thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you guys. Jam up.
All right, bro.